continuing here, I think it's very important for us to ponder, think about the things we as human beings have in common. And I think we would all agree that in order to attain what we want and to manifest our desires, first we have to know what that looks like. We have to know exactly what that means, what we're after. Otherwise, we're just, grasping at straws. So we've got to have a vision of how this civilization, the society at large, whereas on a macro level or on a micro level, your local community, because that's where we're all stuck. We're all stuck in our local communities. But we're living by policies that emanate from the top, and there's bad people at the top. Speaking about good presidents, Max Kaiser's wife, Stacey Herbert, I think she'd be a fine president. I wouldn't mind at all serving under, she's a very smart woman, very smart. If you listen to the Kaiser report on RT, you'll see. But, it'd be great to, have a woman like that in charge of things. So I'm not at all opposed. I've got daughters. I am in no way a misogynist or believe that women are in any way beneath us. I do think that, we've fallen into different roles, and that's kind of, a lot of that's natural. Chivalrous, women and children first. A man's life is less valuable than a woman's just by the natural law sort of thing. It's the man does what a man's got to do. So, I'm the opposite, I guess, of a misogynist. No. But I do think there's, mostly men that I know, at least they're prominent, they're more outspoken, let's say, that I think would be very good presidents. Max Kaiser would be an excellent president, even though the Bitcoin thing, I don't see this whole thing. I mean, he's making money, I know. I get it. That's why I'm so glad I make my videos absolutely for free, and I do something else for my money. It would spoil it for me if I got a red cent from what I do. In fact, I do pay for it, I pay to keep my camera working and my tapes and all this stuff, and I love it. It's a huge outlet for me. I'm compelled to do it. You could say it's a hobby, whatever you want to say. But when I'm out there, I'm interested in knowledge. And when I don't hear people coming out with the knowledge that I have, then it's my obligation to God and to man to come out and start speaking up about these things. And that's what I do in my video. I want people to get the stuff that they're not even, given a chance to get, because nobody's saying, look, this is what you need to clear the slate completely. Not only step out of the box, exponentially, time to the top. And you've got to look at this thing from a God's eye view. Okay, that's it. You've got to, if you don't have a God's eye view, you don't have the right view. You got to see what you're after. What really is humanity after? What things do we really need and want? I mean, look at these protesters, about Trump. One thing we know for sure is that they're pissed off. These people are mad as hell about it. They hate crony capitalism probably. And who doesn't? So there's common ground for a capitalist to step in and say, yes, I'm with you. I get it. I hate it too. We're all feeding this problem. We're sustaining it. It's not just being maintained, it's being sustained and grown. That's what we've got to understand. The fuel tank with the hole in it analogy. As long as somebody else is paying for the gas and it's easier just to go fill it up, I'm not going to bother, because these are my constituents and they represent that hole. And all that gasoline is going right into their, gullets. So leave that alone. We can't do that. That's, part of what keeps me with a job and keeps me relevant. This is where Harry Dent is wrong. There are so many people doing useless jobs out there. That's not going to work. Creating jobs and making people work longer isn't going to work. The machines have taken the jobs. They're going to take more and more jobs. You know that. Come on, man. Get real. We're not going to do it by making people work longer. That's stupid, man. You know how few hours, if we were all doing truly productive jobs, how few hours we would have to work? Do you know how many jobs were taken when the combines, the harvesters, and all this heavy equipment in the farm came to be? How many jobs were lost? Where were you? Were you crying the blues? And that's just going to happen more and more. And that's the object, to make our lives easier. As a landscaper, I'm also an innovator. And I've got a great line of landscape tools ready to go on the market as soon as I find the right person to write a business plan for me. I'm not a stupid man. I know what the hell I'm talking about here. But what I want to drive me is a desire to put out good products that, that my peers are going to say, this is what I want, and the hobbyist alike to say, that's what I want. That's going to make my job easier. That's going to make my life easier. That's what we're after. That's what all this inventiveness, ingenuity, innovation is all about, to make life easier for us. So this idea that, we're going to solve problems by making people work longer is stupid, Harry. You've got a blind spot there, man. I'm sorry. I really like Harry Dent as a person. And I think if he was in charge, I do believe deep down he's an egalitarian, but he's got his own biases, just like we all do. Again, with the human nature. I wrote a whole bit about this. I've got it in my notebook. But, this human nature that we have, it's very hard for us to be honest with ourselves when our own either perceived or real self-interests are at stake. And that's what we're talking about here, about solving the problems. And Donald Trump is super smart, and I totally know he knows that what I'm saying is accurate. I know what I'm talking about. All I'm saying is that the problems are fixable. And the biggest lie you're going to hear out there in the world is that humanity just can't get along together. We're defective. And we need Big Brother, however corrupt and fascist he may be with his policies. We need him in charge of us because we just can't get along. Okay? And we never will. And it's proven by our actions. Look at all the crime. Look at all the poverty, the trailer trash, the lowlifes out there, right? Look at all the dubious wars we get into. Now we got our veterans, 22. I'm going to sit here coolly and just tell you that. I can't believe I'm doing this. That pertains to God and saying, wow, there is no death. I can raise them all up. Thank God. Thank God he can raise them all up. How many of these people would I be their best friend and they're going to take their lives today? And it's like, dude, you can't really kill somebody. God's not stupid. He didn't give you power you don't really have. Yeah, you put them to sleep, the big sleep. Yeah, I'll agree to that. But God owns every atom, and he owns the life force. He can as easily give you a new body as he gave you the one you have. So we always got to remember that when it comes to death. Please don't take your own lives. Please. So yes, I'm on everybody's side. You can be too, inasmuch as you're on the side of humanity. You're on the right side of history. You're on God's side. You're on the ethical side, the righteous side, the decent, upright side, the good guy side, the white hat side. Okay, that's it. That's the only prerequisite. You're ready to say, you know what, God, I want your will to be done. And if it's fully egalitarian, fully equalitarian, and that's that we divvy the earth up, not ownership nonsense, that we don't care. We've got full security. Who cares about ownership? It's all usership anyhow. We're all just passing through, right? We should latch onto this, understand, get it. Get how different our paradigm would be, our reality, if God was in control, and be honest with yourselves. That's all I'm saying. So when it comes to these economic matters, they're going to be very painful. Like, no anesthetic when you're getting a little bitty root that's left in your mouth pulled out because it got infected and it's abscessing and it's an emergency surgery, right? Well, that's kind of like what's going on here with the economy. So I agree with I think it was Harry Dent that was talking about that. It might have been somebody else, but they were hitting on that. That's what he's been handed. He's been handled a pile of maggot-ridden, steaming excrement. Okay, that's what Donald Trump has been handed as far as the economy goes. Okay, and with Trump, I've already said it a million times. I disagree with the wall. I do. I think it. But then again, maybe he's more shrewd and smarter than me in some ways. But I say, what does God want? Okay, above all, does God like it? Shouldn't we just take away the incentives and say no? Help people to repatriatize. We could have a state agency set up that just for helping immigrants go back and say, well, confront their own government and say, what the hell's wrong with you? Why aren't you taking care of your citizen? This guy is a political refugee, or he's got a complaint. That's why he wants to come to America, and I'm here to represent his complaint. There you go. Let's set up an agency like that. Come on. We can all come up with good ideas. Yeah, so Yeah, I think that's a better idea than the wall. Remember, people are going to blow it up. They're going to bulldoze it. They're going to use drones to fly over it. They're going to find a million ways to circumvent it, okay? So it's not going to work anyhow. The drugs are going to get more dear in price. It's going to cost more lives because people are going to take more chances, more risks to smuggle the drugs and all that. It's going to go up. So, everybody's life is in more danger. So in that sense, I don't like it. The only good thing that's going to come of it, again, is humiliating the Mexican government. That's it. And that's a good thing. I've been saying that for decades, is humiliate these people. Any place where you've got excessive migration, you've got to say, what the hell's wrong with you? See, but the news, nothing. We're being manipulated. I talked about that early off in the start of the first video, about how we got to get it, man. They're in our psyche. They're in our head. They're playing us. And when we get it, we'll get that. We're not being cynical to point these things out, that the problems persist and are sustained by these people and their policies. This is what they want. They want perpetual chaos and crises. The more the merrier. The more the people are insecure and living in fear, the more reverence they're extracting. The greater their pound of flesh. This is what they're getting from us. They're sickos, man. They're freaks. They're monsters is what they are. There's not bad enough words you can use for these people. They're going to hell. Okay, if you're not on the side of humanity at large, that means excluding none. Totally non-exclusive. All inclusive, I'm talking. It has to work for everybody or it's not working. It has to work for the people at the bottom. Okay, otherwise you're accepting oppression. You say you're an elitist and you're on that side. You can't accept an iota of oppression. You have to believe in equality. That you've got to understand that when God's will is done, it will be equal. There's never going to be any wealth disparity. This is evil. We've got to admit that. We've got to turn this around and ask yourself how. All you people that prescribe to capitalism and all this, you say Trump's the answer. You tell me how that's what's got to happen here. The wealth disparity has to start turning around and closing. And we got to stop growing more poverty. And we got to stop letting our brothers and sisters die out in the cold. That is economic injustice hemorrhaging in your face right there. That's economic genocide in your face. That's what's going on here. So yes, Ben Carson, take half of that money, get hard-nosed with these people and say, no, this is going to purchase homes. And just like the government technically owns the library, though we all know it belongs to we the people, we're the taxpayers, then we can let them own their own homes, okay? We can start giving stuff away and make people feel free, and they want to give back. We become more productive than we ever needed to be. We've already got plenty of stuff. We've got more excess housing than ever before in history, even with bringing in all the migrants in. I've done the research. I know what I'm talking about. They're a bunch of liars, okay? And the only reason, if they did end up shortening the, creating some kind of shortage in the housing inventory, they did it with all this refugee crisis, the migrant crises, all this vast growth of all the people. And you know what? They're going to say, I'm a bad guy. Oh, he's incompassionate. He's insensitive and all this crap. Okay, I'm losing my cool a little bit. But I resent the implication. I really do. If you got to know me and you knew what an advocate for the poor and the homeless I am, you would never suggest that. I say, let's do what's logical. How are you going to do something good for other people? Why are you bringing other people in when you're not taking care of your own first? Okay, so leave religion out of it. Leave ethics out of it. Leave morality out of it. Let's just stick strictly to mathematics and logic and reason and rationale that makes sense. Okay, you take care of your own first. You're not helping anybody. If you're letting your own citizens die out in the cold, and that's what you're doing, and you're saying I'm a bad guy because I don't want all the immigrants in the whole world to come here right now until we fix our own problems. It's the fuel hole in the gas tank. They're just trying to make it gush out, and they just don't want to be holding the bag. I see Bill and Hillary look awful smug during the inauguration. That can be it. The only thing, it goes back to this idea that what they've left him economically is a big, steaming, maggot-ridden pile of excrement, okay, in terms of economics. And Trump's going to come out there, and he's got to talk the way I'm talking to people right now. He's got to explain these mathematics to them, the logic. and why there's going to be some pain somewhere. But in the long run, it's going to save lives, okay? So, Ben Carson, you need to point out to these HUD and say, look, don't worry about your own job here, okay? Because that's what we're talking about. If without the poverty, all these people employed in the social welfare industry are going to be out of work.